Hi. Let's learn about the economic cycle. An economic cycle, also known as a business cycle, refers to economic fluctuations between periods of expansion and contraction. Factors such as gross domestic product, interest rates, total employment, and consumer spending can help determine the current economic cycle stage. An economic cycle is the circular movement of an economy as it moves from expansion to contraction and back again. Economic expansion is characterized by growth and contraction, including recession, a decline in economic activity that can last several months. Four stages characterize the economic cycle or business cycle. During expansion, the economy experiences relatively rapid growth, interest rates tend to be low, and production increases. The economic indicators associated with growth, such as employment and wages, corporate profits and output, aggregate demand, and the supply of goods and services, tend to show sustained uptrends through the expansionary stage. The peak of a cycle is when growth hits its maximum rate. Prices and economic indicators may stabilize for a short period before reversing to the downside. Peak growth typically creates some imbalances in the economy that need to be corrected. A correction occurs when growth slows, employment falls, and prices stagnate. As demand decreases, businesses may not immediately adjust production levels, leading to oversaturated markets with surplus supply and a downward movement in prices. The trough of the cycle is reached when the economy hits a low point, with supply and demand hitting bottom before recovery. The low point in the cycle represents a painful moment for the economy, with a widespread negative impact from stagnating spending and income. Key metrics determine where the economy is and where it's headed. The National Bureau of Economic Research is the definitive source for marking the official dates for U.S. economic cycles. Relying primarily on changes in GDP, NBR measures the length of economic cycles from trough to trough or peak to peak. Governments, financial institutions, and investors manage the course and effects of economic cycles differently. During a recession, a government may use expansionary fiscal policy and rapid deficit spending. It can also try contractionary fiscal policy by taxing and running a budget surplus to reduce aggregate spending to prevent the economy from overheating during expansion. Monetarism suggests that government can achieve economic stability through their money supply's growth rate. It ties the economic cycle to the credit cycle, where changes in interest rates reduce or induce economic activity by making borrowing by households, businesses, and the government more or less expensive. An economic cycle, or business cycle, has four stages: expansion, peak, contraction, and trough. The average economic cycle in the U.S. has lasted roughly 5.5 years since 1950, although these cycles can vary in length. In the expansionary phase, the economy experiences growth over 2 or more consecutive quarters. Interest rates are typically lower, employment rates rise, and consumer confidence strengthens. The peak phase occurs when the economy reaches its maximum productive output, signaling the end of the expansion. The causes of an economic cycle are widely debated among different economic schools of thought. Monetarists, for example, link the economic cycle to the credit cycle. Here, interest rates, which intimately affect the price of debt, influence consumer spending and economic activity. Here are 3 key takeaways. 1. An economic cycle is the overall state of the economy as it goes through 4 stages in a cyclical pattern: expansion, peak, contraction, and trough. 2. Factors such as GDP, interest rates, total employment, and consumer spending can help determine the current stage of the economic cycle. 3. The causes of a cycle are highly debated among different schools of economics. Hope this would help. Thanks for watching.